I couldn't even tell you what I did do last Sunday. That's how bad it's getting. I don't actually know what I did. Might be the first time I'm not underwriting. Maybe that's what I'm realising. I need about 3.5 hours, which is completely doable right now. I will look a little bit alien. So it is currently the 18th of November today. I no longer know what is happening with these vlogs. The last time I put all the footage together, I had like 3 hours of stuff. So you might get installments, they might all happen in December, I don't know. I'm not finding time to edit the vlog, I'm just finding time to sit down and chat in front of it. So last weekend I was supposed to do a good chunk of writing. I did one 17-minute sprint. We did a trip to IKEA, which is why there are now drawers in the unit behind me. That is it. Don't worry, it's a different colour. It will change in the future. There's a plan. And then on Monday, I did one 5-minute sprint. So we're doing very well. So we are currently at 14,582. We're supposed to be dead on 30k today. We're 15,500 behind. Do have a little plan for the week of what I want done in every hour today, tomorrow and Sunday to try and get more words in. Doesn't have to be on time anymore. Because this is the last kind of full weekend I have. Next weekend we've got family visiting, and then the last week is like 3 days of the week, so it's up to the Wednesday. So my normal last minute panic is not going to be quite as useful. The current plan for tonight is to try and get 1.4k written, and then to try and do some AuthorTube editing because it's currently not happening. I don't know if I'll get through both. I just come back from the gym and we've had dinner and I just feel like relaxing, but I'm gonna try and get some words in at least. I haven't updated the wall either, so I'm gonna try and do that. But what I probably won't do is any b-roll tonight, mostly because what I fancy doing is putting on the plethora of candles that I currently have around me. This morning was a pillar candle that I put in this jar to protect it, but the way it melted, it's basically become a second candle. So we've got that, we've got tea lights everywhere. What I fancy is turning off all the big lights, putting a load of candles on, putting my LEDs to like colour and vibing with some music and trying to get through some words. We're gonna probably cut to tomorrow for you guys, but this weekend I would like to try and get a minimum of 12k. Ideal would be 15k, and a kind of real stretch goal would be 20k. 20k by the end of the week would put me back in line, but it could be a massive stretch. I've got a bunch of other stuff I want to try and get done, but obviously Nano is going to be my focus this weekend. So we're also going to see if my brain will hold out. Because last Saturday we went to IKEA, as I said, and then in the afternoon I was like, I can get some writing done. I've still got plenty of the day. Did it happen? No. And then Sunday had a similar thought process of I could totally get loads of writing done. I couldn't even tell you what I did do on last Sunday. That's how bad it's getting. I don't actually know what I did. But then this week hasn't happened very well either. But I expected it from this week in terms of the work days, because I think, as I said before, this is my first full week back at work since I've taken some holidays. So this is a good sign. maybe it's a no. So in terms of where we are in the story, we are at chapter 9 now, I think. Yes, we're on the last scene of chapter 9. We are well and truly getting into the meat and bones of this. We are meeting the AI of the ship that she is going to basically frequent from this point on, and they're not getting on very well. It's great, it's fantastic. I just need to try and write this the way I envision it in my head and not the way that I've written it before. That is the problem with a lot of these scenes. A lot of scenes are ones I've already written, but with slightly different vibes. Vibes is the wrong word, but vibes is the word I'm going for. It's a whole different kind of vibe to what was going on in the past, and now it's a case of certain characters' identities have completely shifted and I need to not fall back into the previous ones. That's the plan. I'm gonna turn out all my lights and I'm gonna vibe. I am absolutely embracing the millennialness of me. We're vibing tonight. We're gonna go music, we're gonna go with lights, we're gonna hope, we're gonna get as many words out as we can, and then whatever I can't get done today becomes tomorrow and Sunday with an attempt of 12 to 20k. Who knows? While also trying to remain a human, trying to eat food and trying to get a bunch of other YouTube stuff done, because my weekends are catching up with my creative work now. I mean, they always have been, but this plan also relies on me starting at 8 in the morning, which hasn't been happening at weekends the last few months, let's be honest. However, it does stop at like 9 o'clock on the Saturday, so that's only a 13-hour day with a lunch break. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Hello, it is the 19th today. So yesterday, after I left you, I managed to get 1.7k done. So we're now at 16,306. So I would like to try and get at least 10k done over the next 2 days, or trying to get up to, like, a medium goal would be 15k and like a stretch goal is 20k. It is currently quarter to 9. I woke up roughly when I needed to. I've done a couple of bits and pieces, started tidying. Yesterday I remembered I'd saved a playlist which was a 30-hour write-a-thon that happened last weekend. So I've not seen any of the live streams before, and while it won't be like writing with people, I quite like the idea of trying to run that through today. It does mean I won't have as much control over when the sprints are, but on the times that people are chatting, if I put my wireless headphones on, I can go and tidy. I could even do a bit of editing while that's kind of on and just see how many I can get in terms of sprints. I don't know for their 30-hour write-a-thon if they had a set amount of sprints people had to do, or whether some of them might be more, some of them might be less. If I start getting really into the flow of writing and I just want to focus on that, I will switch to something else. But yeah, as a maximum aim, as like a stretch aim, we're looking at 10k today and 10k tomorrow, roughly, just slightly short of that, because I need just over 18k, 9,100-ish. As you would have seen on the wall of post-its, we have moved, I didn't move chapter 8 when I should have done, so we've moved 8 and 9. We're now on chapter 10. We are well and truly in Act 2 now. So I've got 2 more chapters of the main story and then a flashback chapter, so I'm hoping that I can get through these next 2 quite well. I know them pretty well. There's one scene coming up which is kind of one of the first scenes I had when I had the idea about a decade ago. How that goes may absolutely affect my mood for the rest of the day. If I've got it in my head and I can't write it today, I'm going to struggle. If it just comes out of me like some of the other scenes I've done, we might be in a good place. I have not caffeined myself or had breakfast yet, so you might see that at certain points as well. I do have an energy drink in the fridge, but I have been avoiding them because I went through a period of having like 1 a day, and then unsurprisingly seemed to kick off some anxiety. We're gonna be a little cautious, but you may see a relentless in the background. In terms of the actual story, we're at 26.5k, so this book is still going to be massive. I don't think I quite understood how slowly I'm writing this, like how many words are going into each scene. I may need to go back and work out if each scene is necessary and if we need to go into as much detail as we're going. Might be the first time I'm not underwriting, maybe that's what I'm realising. Definitely gonna have 50k worth of words in this. I do need to think about when I want to start outlining Act 3, because if you weren't here for any earlier vlogs or the beginning of this vlog, I really don't know how I'm structuring this. I do apologise. In my October planning, I planned out most of the book, but because of a couple of key pivotal decision points, I haven't finished the final act. So I need to work out if I'm just going to wait for those to have occurred and then plan it, or if I'm going to like hit a certain point, or if I'm going to start trying to work it out before that happens. I don't know. Can't entirely remember where the pivotal points were. Should probably go back and find them. The vibe spoke very well yesterday of just candles and music. It was great. So I will probably candle again this morning, even though it is quite light still, although it's grey and horrible and liable to rain, I think, is the problem. The other potential distraction, me and my partner have bought in, we've been saving up for a PS5 forever, and it became almost impossible to get like a couple of years ago. We made a point to put the money aside and wait, and then yesterday I was like, we're doing it. We found some in stock, so that might appear at some point today, and if so, I might end up getting distracted by watching my partner play God of War, but we will see what happens. I've baked in like 4 rest points today. 2 of them are right at the end of my plan. Do probably need to record a video for my Sims channel. That is unlikely to happen. In terms of pure minutes and hours on this though, just looking at my stats in my spreadsheet, for this draft so far, I have hit 10 hours worth of work. It just doesn't feel like I've done that much. I've literally done 606 minutes. I think I'm thinking I'm further behind because the Nano goal, and because I did some words in October, and because I think I expected myself to really get ahead of myself in the first week of November, and that didn't happen. Right, I'm going to stop before this clip gets unnecessarily long. I will check back in with you guys in a little bit when I have hopefully done some words. November today. This is a terrible angle, hang on. It is what it is this evening. It's the 30th of November, which means it's the last day of Nanowrimo. Now, it turns out over the last 2 weeks, I can either write or I can vlog. I've not been able to do both. I cannot even remember the last time I checked in with you. That is what we're at the moment. But if we give a very, very quick look at the graph. We have not been on the line of the graph for a long time. We were at one point, I think the furthest away we got is like 15k behind. Yeah, something like 15k behind at one point for the longest, for like the furthest gap. We are now, somehow, we are at 45,063 words. So we have the rest of this evening, which it is currently just coming up to 5:30. I've just finished work. I've logged off everything from that. Assuming a 40 words per minute, which may get higher. Usually when I'm at the last couple of days, my speed goes up dramatically. And I have had that the last few days. For a bit of context, I was still 10k behind on the 26th. So I have had some days of 5k words. I think 5k is the highest I've gone. Yeah, my highest day has been 5k. I've had a couple just shy of 5k. I've had about 3 that are 4.5 and another couple that were at 4. So it's possible for me to do. The majority of those were weekend days and we are now on a last evening. And I was planning on trying to do some of my lunch break, but I only got about 200 words in. My brain just wasn't having it. So I need it to switch on. Using 40 words per minute as my kind of aim, and 20-minute sprints has been the kind of golden rule at the moment. I need 7 20-minute sprints. So if I did 20 minutes on, 10 minutes off, I need about 3.5 hours, which is completely doable right now. That would take me to 9 o'clock. If I do add in like a break for some food or anything else, it is still doable. I do have quite a bit of work on at the moment, so I can't stay up till like midnight if I needed to. And something I said to my partner's parents when they came to visit is that at this point, if I don't manage it, I'm going to be frustratingly close. And I don't want to fail on frustratingly close. All that being said, if you are in a similar position and you are also going to be either frustrating close or just not quite there, or something happened this month and you have never caught up with yourself, the whole point of this is to have more words than you started with in November. And while I would be very annoyed if I'm a few thousand away, because that's, you know, a day I didn't do anything, that little extra day's work could have made the difference. I have done a lot of this book now. So with the close to 10k I did in October, we're at like 55k on this book. We are only about chapter 20 in 51 chapters. Now, if you've watched any of my previous Millwordy videos or any other video where I've been drafting, I tend to finish a book at like 70k. 80k. We're currently on track for this to be somewhere closer to 120 to 140,000 words, which has just never happened to me. I am intentionally being more descriptive. Also, some of my scenes have just ended up longer. There's a lot more world building, in some respect probably info dumping that we need to fix later, but in general this book is just far longer than I was expecting it to be. So need to get the last 5k in this evening to win. There is a tub of ice cream in the freezer. Whatever happens, if I finish this evening, it is getting eaten. If I don't finish this evening and we get to like 10:30, 11, I call it, it will be eaten tomorrow. Regardless, it is my end of Nano ice cream rather than being like a congratulatory thing. So that's not the right word, is it? My phone is literally about to die. I am going to go get on some words, charge my phone, and then try and catch you up with some b-roll and stuff later. Try and vlog tonight while also prioritising the words. So if you see me in a completely different outfit, in a completely different location, I probably gave up and prioritised the words. That's what I've been doing the last few weeks. I do apologise. Okay, so it's now just after dinner time. I apologise if you can hear my partner talking. They have a D&D game going on tonight and I am not going to stop recording for Nanowrimo, so editing the key will either work it out or you'll randomly hear voices in the background. Before dinner I got about 47 minutes worth of writing done for 2,433. So far today I have 2,667 done. I am 2,504 off, which is now feeling much more doable. The last few sprints have been at 50 and 52 words per minute. So if I said that I could get the rest of the sprints done today at 48 words per minute, which I'm not massively convinced of, but it's possible. We only need about 52 minutes to finish this off. So if we plan for 20-minute sprints, I need 3 more of them. With 10-minute breaks in between, we're looking at an hour 20, and it's currently 6 minutes past 7. What I did have up was a 45-minute on, 15-minute off playlist, or like a video, but I didn't get all the way through the 45 minutes. But I'm now tempted to, rather than using videos, because the first sprint I did, I brought up the Kate Kavanagh live stream that I've been using most of this month, which does like a 20-minute, then 22-minute sprint, then 24, kind of eases you up. But the second one I just kind of said, well, I need to keep writing until food's ready, so there's no point worrying about too much. Put a 45-minute on, because food will definitely be done before 45 minutes, and work that through. The temptation right now is to put on a stopwatch and see how long I can feasibly manage this. And then at some point I have to do these post-it notes that I've been not touching for significant period of time. We are currently on chapter 20. Chapter 10 is currently the only one I've moved into the starting category, and that's done. So we're a little bit behind on the post-its. That might be my little treat tomorrow, moving it all around. No, in fact we're in chapter 21 now, which in terms of where we are in this story, we are well and truly in the fun and games now. We've got, in fact, the next chapter is technically our midpoint. A lot of Act 1 and the beginning of Act 2 had like 3 or 4 scenes. A lot of the flashbacks definitely did. Looking at this, when we start to get to the second half, we're going to 1 or 2 scenes. And then the break into 3 is obviously where I stopped outlining, and I need to fix that at some point. But because this is going to be potentially 120k, if not more, we're going to have to do significant writing December and January. The plan was to keep writing in December and have January kind of be like a mop-up of a little bit, but also going back and making any like additions I've been doing while I've been writing. So quite often, rather than going into my notes and finding what the name of the planet they're on is, or if I go, oh, can't remember that royal family member's name, I've just been putting it in block capitals. Here's something I do quite a bit to keep the flow of the writing going. So that's the kind of thing I can come back to in January and fix without having to put it to one side. Then it will be putting it down and starting another draft of another book. Not expecting it to be as long as it's going to be. So that's interesting. Slightly worrying, but definitely interesting. Yeah, we've done the fun and games bit. We're now hitting midpoint areas, and then we're starting to get into the bad guys close in and really dealing with this really gross, horrible bad guy. 2.5k more tonight, which in all practical sense, completely possible. It's very possible to do another 60 minutes of writing tonight. What I'm just worried about is that my brain will give up. It already has taken quite a bit of convincing to start writing this afternoon. I am slightly worried about a character motivation here, which is actually quite essential, and I thought would feel more natural, but it does feel slightly wrong. So anyway, I'm gonna shut up and start getting back to it, trying to write some more words. That's the plan. It's about 10 past 7 now, so if I started and do the 20 minutes on, 10 minutes off, then I've got until 8:30, which is a reasonable time to finish, but we'll see what happens. Usually these things expand far more than I think they're going to, so let's give this a go. I'm just starting some of this B-roll. This whole colour is going to look off. I'm not going to fix it. I recently installed a smart bulb, and to give myself the atmosphere of feeling like I'm in a spaceship, I am messing around with the setting. So it has made me look very yellow and the post-notes are a bit of a strange colour. We're just dealing with it. We're vibing in here tonight. We're going to go for vibes and panic. That is what we're doing. I will look a little bit alien. So that is the end of my Nanowrimo journey this year. It has been, I would say, actually a fairly normal Nano for me, of not so much happening in the middle of the month, but a lot happening towards the end. If you've been on this channel before, you'll know that I track every single thing that I do. I wish that was an exaggeration. Every single time I've sat down to do any kind of writing for Space Pirates, kind of things that I will track will be like how long the sprint was, how many words, and from that I can get words per minute, where I was when I was writing, the time of the day, all of that kind of stuff. So I've put together a few little graphs of those kind of things, so let me talk you through them. For anyone who doesn't know, making these kind of things is my day job, but I have kind of slacked slightly and just gone for pretty colours this time. Not the most efficient of graphs, I think it gets across some of what I want to talk through. My average words per minute were 48. So as I was saying in this vlog and the previous vlog of always planning for kind of 35, that would be because around about my minimum words per minute was 32. Now, I'm not entirely sure that's correct. I think my software that I'm using sometimes doesn't fully update the manuscript number properly until you kind of give it some time and it syncs up and does it, but I'm going to take that because that is roughly where I expect it to be anyway. My maximum words per minute in any sprint was 65. I am 100% convinced is entirely that last day of manic push. But apparently I can go manic, or alternatively, if this one is too low because of an error, it might be that that number has gone into there. I don't know. No way of knowing now. I wasn't really paying attention to it when I was doing the month. I think I said this in possibly the previous vlog rather than just this one. The max sprint I did was 46 minutes. I didn't go any higher than that, which is slightly unusual. In previous years I've hit like an hour quite easily, but I seem to have hit 46 this time. And my minimum writing sprint was 4 minutes. So in those sprints, probably in those same kind of max writing times is how many words I got per sprint. So on a 46-minute sprint, I can get 2,200 and something words, which is good to know. And then the minimum I did on any kind of sprint was 200s. One thing I don't think I did very much of this time round was kind of flailing and not entirely sure what I was doing and sitting down for a writing sprint and getting like no words in. So that feels right to me, that the minimum is just only kind of 200, but still that's a sizable chunk of words because I was still kind of really pushing the words out. So if we go down here to the bottom left hand side, I've got it lined out, the total words per day, mostly so we can see exactly where I did absolutely nothing. There are 10 days where I did nothing, and they were all from the 17th or earlier. You can see the panic starts to rise around about this point where we're starting to just rush to the end. There's a part of me now that really wants to keep this and do this again next time. I don't think I've actually done them for specifically nanos before. I did do some during Milwordy, but it'd be interesting to see if that's kind of roughly what it always looks like, and then I start actually doing stuff. And then up here we've got kind of like the time of the day. So for example, is it a work day or a weekend? Is it the morning, afternoon? My work day lunchtime. So a work day morning would be like first thing before work. The afternoon ones would be, I have a bit of a weird distinction between afternoon and evening. So for me, my work day afternoon writing would probably be somewhere between 5 and 7. It's, to me, anything I do before I eat dinner, and then after dinner is evening writing. I cannot explain myself. You'll have to forgive me if the visuals have changed slightly in this view. I just realised that a lot of the things I was showing on this graph were situations where they weren't capitalised in some cases and they hadn't grouped together properly, so I had to go through and fix it. We have now fixed it, I think, I hope. This is now the 3rd time I've done this. So in terms of time of day, it does not in any way surprise me that my day off morning is the lowest, just because of the first week or so that I was off. Normally this would surprise me because the idea of my days off are usually my writing days during Nano, but I know that I struggled so much this time round and I can't tell you why. It may be to an extent that This is like the first time off I'd had in a long while. Part of my brain probably thought, I just want to rest. I just want to sleep. So it's a little bit surprising overall, but not given the context of this month. Most of the others are not much off from each other. So in terms of which is the one that I might push more for, I'm a little bit surprised by the lunchtime. Normally, if I write during my lunch break, I'm often so worried about going back to work and overrunning and all that kind of stuff that I don't tend to do very well, but I seem to have got a fair few words per minute in there. It might well be that there's less sprints in that time period. I can't entirely remember how many sprints I actually did. The one that surprises me by far the most is this workday afternoon slot where I got a massive words per minute on average. Now, part of that I think has to come from these last few days of panic, where most of the time I was doing it in the afternoons. But I think I've been surprised by this before. I think I keep doing this and realising that my afternoon slots and my evening slots are actually more productive for me. But I keep trying to convince myself that I'm a morning person when I'm not. We are going to look at where, but I am going to have to fix it again because it's not grouping. Bear with me. Okay, I think I fixed it again. I promise I'm better at this when it's my day job. Again, I am quite surprised that the coffee shop is low words per minute. No, wait, I'm not surprised. I did it on that one day during my annual leave and I went in for like an hour and a half and it was all Christmas music and it was bothering me and I came home. Again, often that is better for me, but obviously not this time around. And I didn't do like a full day, or sometimes I'll do like a couple of mornings during Nano, and we didn't have time for me to go out and it's harder for me to travel into town now. So not surprised that my bed is quite low. It's not the most comfortable place for me to write. I am surprised that the sofa behind me is potentially my best option. Again, that may come from the fact that last few days of panic, I was just sat there, not moving, not doing anything else, and just getting through it all. So probably isn't surprising, but it feels surprising that that's my most productive space. I thought the desk would be better this year. So that kind of wraps up where we were at the end of Nano. It is currently January when I'm recording this proper wrap up. The whole of December also ran away from me. As you might be able to see from the post notes behind me, we have actually managed to get a little bit further in December. And we are now at chapter 26. So we are officially beyond the midpoint now. I think I've probably done 4, maybe 5,000 more since Nano. January's attempt is going to be finishing the rest of those post-it notes. We'll see. We'll see what happens because I'm supposed to move on to a different book in February. So if you also did Nano, let me know in the comments how it went for you. I feel like it was a lot different than the previous 2 years, probably because of the fact that the last 2 years were during different variations of lockdowns and restrictions, whereas this year it's a bit more open and just a different vibe, I think. All of that being said, thank you so much for watching. I've been Nikki Starr and I will see you in the next one.